Have you ever wondered why, despite your most earnest prayers and devoted spiritual practices, you still feel disconnected from the divine flow of abundance and peace? What if I told you that the very approach to spirituality most of us have been taught since childhood might actually be blocking the grace and transformation we're seeking? But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Has this ever happened to you? You pray intensely for financial breakthrough, yet find yourself sinking deeper into scarcity. You earnestly seek healing, only to feel your symptoms intensify. You plead for divine guidance, yet end up more confused than before. There's a profound reason for this spiritual paradox, and it lies at the heart of what Goldsmith discovered after decades of seeking. What most spiritual traditions never reveal is that every time you ask God for something, you're unconsciously affirming its absence in your life. When you pray for healing, you're declaring to the universe, "I am sick." When you beg for abundance, you're proclaiming, "I am in lack." This creates an energetic barrier between you and the very blessings you're trying to receive. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover might completely transform your relationship with the divine and unlock a flow of grace you never thought possible. The revolutionary insight Goldsmith uncovered challenges everything we've been taught about our relationship with God. Instead of approaching the divine as separate beings, constantly needing to petition for help, what if we recognized ourselves as vessels through which God already lives and moves? This isn't spiritual arrogance, it's a recognition of our true identity as expressions of divine being. Imagine for a moment what would change if you stopped seeing yourself as separated from divine supply and started recognizing that you're immersed in it. What if prayer wasn't about convincing God to act on your behalf, but about aligning your awareness with what's already happening? What if the only thing blocking the infinite flow of divine love, wisdom, and abundance was your own consciousness of separation? The shift from asking God to allowing God to live through you is subtle but profound. Instead of approaching the divine with clenched fists and desperate pleas, imagine opening your hands in quiet receptivity. Imagine recognizing that what you seek is already yours in the spiritual realm, and your only task is to allow it to express through you. This paradigm shift completely transforms every dimension of life, from health and relationships to purpose and prosperity, as we'll discover when you truly let God live through you. Begin to experience a profound transformation in every aspect of your life. Goldsmith, after years of spiritual searching and personal struggle, stumbled upon a revolutionary truth that contradicted everything he had been taught about prayer and divine connection. The secret he uncovered was deceptively simple, yet profound. Stop asking and start receiving. If you found value in these insights on divine receptivity, hit subscribe to join our community of spiritual seekers exploring the path of transformation. This mindset revolution challenges the very foundation of traditional spiritual practice. The divine isn't withholding anything from you, not healing, not abundance, not wisdom, not peace. These gifts aren't locked away in some cosmic vault, waiting for you to say the right words or perform the right rituals. They're already flowing toward you in every moment, like a perpetual stream of grace. Think about it this way. Have you ever considered that your spiritual practice isn't about convincing God to act, but about aligning yourself with what's already in motion? The shift from asking consciousness to receiving consciousness is subtle but transformative. It's like turning your cup right side up so it can actually catch the rain that's been falling all along. To understand this hidden truth more deeply, consider the radio metaphor that Goldsmith often used in his teachings. Divine supply is like a radio broadcast that's continuously transmitting beautiful music throughout the universe. The music doesn't begin when you turn on your receiver. It was always playing. You simply tuned in to what was already present. In the same way, divine abundance, guidance, and healing aren't activated by your asking or pleading. They're already flowing through the fabric of creation. Your spiritual journey is simply about learning to tune in to these ever-present realities, to become a clear channel through which divinity can express itself in your life and in the world. The impact of this revelation goes far beyond theory. When you make this inner shift, decisions that seemed impossible suddenly become clear. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly appear before you. Relationships that were strained begin to heal, not because you're manipulating circumstances or people, but because you're relating from wholeness rather than neediness. The behind-the-scenes work of this practice happens in those quiet moments when you sit in receptive awareness, allowing divine intelligence to flow through your consciousness without interference. You're not creating anything new, you're simply removing the barriers to what has always been there. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by explaining the profound energy shift that occurs when you move from asking to receiving. These two approaches create completely different vibrational signatures in your being, and this makes all the difference in your spiritual journey. When you truly grasp this distinction, you'll understand why traditional prayer sometimes feels like pushing against a closed door, while receptive awareness feels like walking through an entrance that was open all along. Write, "I'm tuning my receiver," in the comments if you're beginning to sense how this shift could transform your relationship with the divine. When you truly understand this perspective, the entire universe reveals itself as an infinite broadcasting station, continuously transmitting divine ideas, abundance, healing, guidance, and love directly to you and through you. These heavenly transmissions don't suddenly activate when you pray. They're perpetually flowing through the fabric of creation. It's not that God isn't answering your prayers, it's that the answer has always been broadcasting on a frequency your consciousness wasn't tuned to receive. This brings us to the heart of Goldsmith's revolutionary insight about practicing the presence. It's not about making God show up in your life, or convincing the divine to pay attention to your needs. It's about fine-tuning your awareness to recognize what has always been present. The revelations that come through this practice aren't new information being created on demand. They're eternal truths you're finally able to perceive because you've cleared away the static of separation consciousness. Behind the scenes, the journey of transformation is happening in your energy field, not in some distant heaven. When you're in asking mode, your entire being resonates with an energetic signature of lack, limitation, and separation. There's an underlying desperation that whispers, "I am incomplete without this thing I'm asking for. I need God to give me something I don't have." This vibration actually repels what you're seeking because it reinforces the very separation you're trying to overcome. Receiving consciousness, on the other hand, carries an entirely different energy signature. It vibrates with fullness, gratitude, and union. With the divine source, it quietly acknowledges a profound truth. What God has, I have. What God is, I am. Many people misinterpret this as spiritual arrogance, but it's actually the recognition of your true identity as an expression of divine being. It's understanding that separation from your good was always an illusion created by limited perception. The impact of this mindset shift goes far beyond spiritual theory. When your energy field changes from begging to receiving, your entire experience of reality transforms. Decisions that once paralyzed you with fear become clear expressions of your highest wisdom. Opportunities that remained invisible in your asking consciousness suddenly appear before you, like they've been waiting all along. Relationships that felt strained or broken begin to heal naturally, not because you're manipulating others, but because you're relating from wholeness rather than need. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how to actually practice this receiving consciousness in your daily life. Many spiritual teachings offer beautiful theories, but leave us wondering about the practical application. How do we make this shift from asking to receiving in tangible ways that transform our lived experience? The beauty of Joel Goldsmith's approach is that the practice itself is remarkably simple, though mastering it requires a journey of dedicated attention. Share "I'm vibrating with divine fullness" in the comments if you're beginning to feel the energetic shift from lack to abundance in your own consciousness. The true revelation in Goldsmith's teaching is that this transformation doesn't happen through elaborate rituals or complex spiritual techniques. The real work unfolds in those quiet moments when you simply sit in receptive awareness, allowing divine intelligence to flow through your consciousness without interference. Many people misunderstand this as passive surrender or spiritual laziness, but nothing could be further from the truth. This receptive state is actually an intensely active spiritual posture. It requires the courage to set aside your habitual patterns of control and manipulation. It demands the discipline to quiet the mind's constant chatter about what you think you need and what you believe is missing. It asks you to release the blueprint you've been trying to impose on life and open yourself to a higher design that may look nothing like what you expected. When you enter this state of spiritual receptivity, you're not becoming less, you're becoming more fully what you were always meant to be, a vessel through which God expresses in the world. This is the hidden truth behind all authentic spiritual traditions. Though it's often buried beneath layers of doctrine and ritual, you are not separate from the divine trying to get its attention. You are the very channel through which divinity seeks to express its infinite nature. The practice itself is remarkably simple. Begin by setting aside just 10 minutes of quiet time each day. Find a comfortable space where you won't be disturbed. Instead of approaching this time with your usual shopping list of needs and wants, the promotion you desire, the relationship you crave, the healing you seek, simply sit in stillness and say within yourself, "I am now open to receive all that God is giving me." Subscribe to continue this journey of spiritual awakening with us. Each video explores new dimensions of letting God live through you. Notice the profound paradigm shift in that simple statement. You're not asking for anything specific. You're not trying to manifest particular outcomes. You're simply acknowledging the flow that's already present and opening yourself to it. This is the essence of spiritual receptivity, recognizing that divine substance is already pouring into every dimension of your life. Allow yourself to feel like an open channel. Don't force anything. Don't strain to visualize specific outcomes. Simply be receptive, like the earth receives rain, like your lungs receive air, like a flower receives sunlight. This natural, effortless spiritual breathing creates space for revelation and intuitive wisdom to emerge. It allows the divine to live through you, rather than you trying to live through your limited human will. The journey from effort to effortlessness, from struggle to grace, happens gradually as you practice this receptive awareness. Each day, you'll find yourself becoming more attuned to the divine broadcast, more sensitive to the guidance that's always been there, more aligned with the abundance that's your birthright. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by sharing how this principle of receptivity transforms real-world challenges. What does this look like when applied to the struggles we all face? Financial pressure, health concerns, relationship conflicts. The stories of transformation I'm about to share will demonstrate the practical power of letting God live through you in every dimension of life. Write "I am an open channel" in the comments if you're ready to practice this receptive awareness in your own spiritual journey. Let me share with you a powerful real-world example that illustrates the impact of this seemingly subtle shift. Maria had been praying desperately for financial breakthrough for 3 years. Every month brought mounting debt and increasing anxiety. Her asking had become almost violent in its intensity. She would literally shake her fists at heaven, demanding God answer her prayers. Yet her situation only worsened, creating a vicious cycle of spiritual frustration and financial despair. When Maria discovered Joel Goldsmith's teaching on receptivity, her initial reaction was resistance. "If I stop asking, God will forget about me," she protested. But desperation made her willing to experiment. For 30 days, she practiced simply receiving instead of asking. Each morning and evening, she would sit quietly opening her consciousness to divine supply, affirming, "I allow God's infinite abundance to flow through me now." The journey wasn't instantaneous or magical. The first 2 weeks felt empty, almost frightening. Nothing seemed to be happening externally, but internally something was shifting. The constant knot of anxiety in her chest began to loosen. A strange peace replaced her panic. She found herself making decisions from clarity rather than fear. By week 3, unexpected opportunities started appearing. A freelance project here, a debt forgiven there, a forgotten refund check in the mail. 6 months later, Maria's financial situation had completely transformed. The most profound change, however, wasn't in her bank account, but in her relationship with the divine. She no longer approached God as a beggar, but as a beloved child receiving her inheritance. The outer abundance followed the inner shift in consciousness. This same principle of transformation revealed itself in David's healing journey during his 5-year battle with a chronic health condition. David had exhausted himself with desperate healing prayers. He'd attended every prayer meeting, anointed himself with oil, declared healing scriptures, and done everything he believed would convince God to heal him. Yet his body remained sick, and his asking had become almost angry at God for not responding to his faithful petitions. The turning point came when a friend introduced him to Goldsmith's writings on spiritual healing. The concept startled him at first. What if healing wasn't something God needed to send, but something already present in his true spiritual nature? What if his asking was actually the obstacle preventing him from experiencing the wholeness that was already his? Behind the scenes, a profound mindset revolution was occurring. Instead of begging for healing, he began sitting quietly each day and affirming, "I am open to receive the perfect health that is my divine inheritance." He stopped fighting his symptoms and started resting in the presence of God. This wasn't denial of his condition, it was recognition of a deeper spiritual reality beyond physical appearance. Progress came gradually over many months. Some days were harder than others, but slowly symptoms began shifting. More importantly, fear released its grip on his consciousness. Within a year, medical tests confirmed what David already felt: significant improvement. His doctor called it spontaneous remission. David called it learning to receive what God had already given. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how this principle of divine expression transforms our relationships, often the most challenging area of human experience. Share From Beggar to Beloved in the comments if you're ready to transform your relationship with the divine from one of pleading to one of receiving. The impact of allowing God to live through you extends powerfully into our relationships, often the most challenging area of human experience. Jennifer discovered this truth during a painful period in her marriage. For years, she had prayed fervently, "Please change my husband, make him understand me, fix our communication." Her prayers were focused entirely on asking God to transform her partner and their circumstances, not recognizing how this approach reinforced separation rather than connection. When Jennifer encountered Goldsmith's teaching on receptivity, her initial response was resistance. If I stop asking God to fix my marriage, it will definitely fall apart, she thought. But her current approach clearly wasn't working, so she decided to experiment with a different path. Instead of asking God to change her husband, she practiced receiving divine love into her own consciousness. Each morning, she'd sit quietly and open herself to receive God's love, not asking for anything external to change, but allowing her inner being to be filled with divine presence. The transformation began subtly. She noticed herself responding differently to her husband, less reactive, more peaceful, genuinely more loving without effort or pretense. The revelation came when she realized that her shift in consciousness was creating ripples that affected their entire relationship dynamic. Over several months, something remarkable happened. As Jennifer changed her consciousness from asking to receiving, her husband began responding differently. Their relationship wasn't magically perfect, but genuine healing occurred through this journey of inner transformation rather than external manipulation. This same blueprint for transformation revealed itself in Thomas's professional life when his once thriving business collapsed, pushing him to the brink of bankruptcy. His initial response was classic asking consciousness, desperate negotiations with God. I'll serve you forever if you just save my business. I'll give more to charity. I'll be a better person. Please, God, don't let me lose everything. His prayers were filled with fear, bargaining, and the exhausting energy of trying to convince God to rescue him. The mindset revolution arrived unexpectedly when he discovered Goldsmith's revolutionary approach to prayer. Instead of begging God for business success, he learned to practice receptive consciousness, opening himself to divine guidance and supply. I am open to the infinite supply of God. I receive divine wisdom for my next steps. I rest in the knowledge that God's abundance is my abundance. Thomas stopped the frantic energy of asking and entered the peaceful energy of receiving. Almost immediately, his mindset began to transform. The panic subsided, replaced by a quiet confidence. Then the breakthroughs started happening. Ideas began flowing. Connections appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Opportunities manifested in unexpected ways. Within 18 months, Thomas had not only recovered from near bankruptcy, but had created a more successful business, aligned with his true purpose. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how to integrate this receptive consciousness into your daily life. While sitting in meditation is powerful, the true test of allowing God to live through you comes in your moment-to-moment existence, in traffic jams and difficult conversations, in financial decisions and health challenges. Type inner before outer in the comments if you've experienced how internal transformation creates external change in your own life. While dedicated meditation time forms the foundation of this practice, the true art of allowing God to live through you unfolds in the texture of everyday life. Joel Goldsmith offered several powerful techniques that deepen our ability to maintain receptive consciousness throughout our daily experiences. The first is what he called the practice of the presence. Throughout your day, pause frequently and simply acknowledge, God is here. This isn't asking God to show up. It's recognizing the divine presence that's already here. You can practice this while washing dishes, driving to work, sitting in meetings, or waiting in line at the grocery store. These micro moments of divine acknowledgement might sound like, God is here. The infinite is expressing right where I am. Divine intelligence is operating in this situation. What appears to be a simple affirmation is actually a profound reset of your consciousness, training your awareness to remain in receptive mode, rather than slipping back into asking mode. Behind the scenes, these brief recognitions gradually rewire your neural pathways, creating new default settings in your brain. Where you once automatically responded to challenges with anxiety and petition, you begin responding with peaceful receptivity. The transformation isn't intellectual. It's a fundamental shift in how you experience reality. Another powerful blueprint Goldsmith offered was what he called the releasing treatment in his spiritual healing work. This concept introduces a radical paradigm shift that challenges our conventional understanding of how healing and transformation occur. In traditional prayer, we identify a problem, illness, financial lack, relationship discord, and ask God to fix it. We treat the condition by focusing intensely on changing it. Joel discovered a more effective approach. We don't treat conditions at all. We treat our consciousness to receive the truth of wholeness that already exists. The distinction is subtle but revolutionary. You're not trying to change reality. You're opening yourself to perceive reality as it truly is in spiritual terms, allowing God's perfect expression to manifest through the situation. When facing any challenge in your life, instead of asking God to remove it, practice this alternative approach. I release this situation to divine intelligence. I open myself to receive God's perfect solution. I rest in the truth that infinite wisdom is already resolving this in ways I cannot see. This approach creates a gateway for unexpected breakthroughs to emerge that your limited human thinking could never have conceived. This isn't passive resignation or spiritual bypassing. It's active receptivity, a profound recognition that God's intelligence is already at work in your situation. Your asking might actually interfere with divine solutions already in motion. Your receiving allows those solutions to become visible and manifest. It's the difference between pushing a river and floating with its current. Both involve water, but one exhausts you while the other carries you to your destination. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by addressing the biggest obstacle you'll likely encounter when shifting from asking to receiving. This challenge is so universal that nearly everyone experiences it, and overcoming it represents a major milestone in your spiritual journey. Share releasing, not fixing in the comments if you're beginning to understand how treating your consciousness rather than conditions creates space for divine wisdom to work through you. The first and most significant obstacle you'll encounter on this path is the persistent feeling that you're doing absolutely nothing. This discomfort can be so intense that it drives many seekers back to the familiar territory of asking and striving. Asking feels active, powerful, like you're taking charge of your life and spirituality. Receiving, in contrast, often feels passive, lazy, even like you're giving up. Your ego will scream, you have to ask, you have to pursue, you have to make things happen. The revelation that changes everything is recognizing that this discomfort is actually a sign of progress. You're experiencing the dissolution of ego patterns that have dominated your spiritual life. The feeling of doing nothing is actually the feeling of stopping your interference with divine flow. When this resistance arises, and it will, remind yourself, asking is the energy of separation and lack. Receiving is the energy of oneness and abundance. This transformation requires tremendous trust to stop asking and simply open yourself to what God is already giving. You're not being passive. You're being receptive, which is profoundly active in the spiritual dimension. Think of it like learning to float in water. When you first try, your body tenses and you sink. Only when you fully relax and trust do you discover the water naturally supports you. The journey from striving to allowing, from controlling to surrendering, represents the core transformation in spiritual consciousness. Behind the scenes, what's really happening is a fundamental identity shift. For most of your life, you've operated from the belief that you are a separate human being trying to get things from an external deity. This belief creates an unbridgeable gap between you and your good. The mindset revolution Goldsmith uncovered reveals that this gap was always an illusion. The ultimate truth he revealed is this: you are not separate from God trying to receive gifts from an external source. You are the very consciousness of God receiving awareness of your own infinite nature. When you practice receiving, you're not getting something new. You're removing the veil that blocked your recognition of what has always been yours. This is why asking never truly worked. You were essentially asking yourself to give yourself what you already possessed. You were demanding that God provide what God has never stopped providing. The problem was never God's unwillingness to give. The problem was your inability to receive because your consciousness was focused on lack rather than abundance, on separation rather than oneness. The impact of this revelation is immeasurable. Every moment you spend in receptive awareness, you're practicing the truth of your being. You're not becoming spiritual. You're recognizing the spirituality that has always been your essential nature. You're not trying to get God to live through you. You're acknowledging that God has never stopped living through you. Your only obstacle was your unawareness of this eternal truth. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how this practice of divine receptivity transforms your relationship with life's most challenging circumstances. How does allowing God to live through you change your experience of loss, suffering, disappointment, and limitation? What happens to fear when you truly understand that you are not separate from the infinite source of all good? Put "removing the veil" in the comments if you're beginning to glimpse this ultimate truth about your relationship with the divine. Now you understand the profound wisdom Joel Goldsmith discovered, that your spiritual journey isn't about convincing God to give you things, but about opening yourself to receive what's already yours. This shift from asking to receiving doesn't just change how you pray, it transforms your entire relationship with the divine and with life itself. I create these videos because I truly believe these transformative spiritual insights can change lives. They certainly changed mine. If you've resonated with this message of divine receptivity, I'd love for you to join our community of spiritual seekers who are learning to shift from separation consciousness to oneness awareness. A simple subscription helps you stay connected with teachings that continue to explore this path of spiritual transformation. If this message spoke directly to your heart today, I'd love to know. Simply write "I choose to receive" in the comments to let me know you've made this journey with me to a deeper understanding. Your journey of receptivity is just beginning, and each day of practice brings you closer to experiencing the fullness that has always been within you. A gentle tap on the like button creates ripples that help others discover this teaching too, just as divine abundance flows effortlessly when we open ourselves to receive it. For those ready to take the next step in practicing receptivity, I've created a video that explores the practical daily habits that reinforce receiving consciousness. It's right here on your screen. Click and join me there as we continue this journey together. Remember, you're not becoming something new. You're simply recognizing what you've always been, one with the infinite source of all good.